he's a top 10 quarterback, and until he does, talk of a $30 million a year contract is out of the question. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Jerry's here's what you need to do. Get your mind right. Tell your assistant to download Bobby Womack's classic song, If You Think You're Lonely Now. Womack was a football poet well ahead of his time. Jerry, you're dealing with a quarterback and an agent who are always complaining about what Russell Wilson got, what Aaron Rodgers got, what Dak ain't got. Dak thinks he's lonely now. Wait until the next offseason, cowboy. Make Dak play this season under his existing contract. The worst thing that could happen is Dak has a phenomenal season and his market significantly escalates and the Cowboys are forced to pay him $36 to $38 million a year. That's a good problem. That means Dak will have shown himself to be a legit franchise quarterback. What's more likely to happen is Dak will once again be one of the 15 best quarterbacks in the league, and his free agent market will be around $25 million. Dak wants to throw a tantrum and leave Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, and one of the league's most talented defense. Let him go and draft a rookie with more upside. Dak ain't never going to find another owner who treats him better than Jerry Jones. All right, joining the desk now is former NFL head coach Eric Mangini, the NFL Network's Bucky Brooks. Marcellus, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Should the Cowboys make Dak play out his existing contract?
No. Plan A should be walk up to Dak Prescott, say, look, I'm going to give you $1 more than Carson Wentz. We happy? We settle? This over? And we'll see how that goes. Plan B, in consequence, if Plan A doesn't go as desired, is you land where you are, which is, okay, I'm going to have to roll the dice. Because right now I have a perception issue with you, Dak. You have to understand, as an owner who's doing you a favor because you're still under contract, you have to make me eager. You have to make me willing to sign this contract before I have to. And the problem with the public's reception of Dak is that they perceive him as not as a franchise quarterback. You can look at a Carson Wentz who's won from this fusion of what Nick Foles did twice in the playoffs and a Super Bowl win, and what the Eagles have won, and used that along with his MVP candidacy before injury and parlay that into a $32 million a year deal. Dak is like, y'all know the devil's in the details. Please stop flying so high in this conversation. They dig deep into what I've done in terms of my record and my statistics that are better than Carson Wentz. And the public is too lazy to dive into those details. And Jerry is the good cop and Steven's the bad cop, and they're just going to keep this at bay right now. But Plan B is what you said, but Plan A is $1 more than Wentz.
Let me ask you this. Let's say there's a car dealer that's sitting out there. You know what? I got a Ford Explorer, and it's better than the Mercedes. And I can show you the details. The details, better gas mileage, blah, blah, blah. If you needed service, blah, blah, blah. And then the market's the market.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz, if he's out on the market, can get $32 million. Dak can't. Only Dallas would be dumb enough to pay that.
Can I mess with your example just a little more?
Yeah.
I'd rather hear Lexus, because day one Lexus, they were comparing it to Mercedes. I ain't buying no Toyota. Oh, how did that turn out? Lexus is all right now, right, at a lesser value. But you give me Ford, it's going to be difficult. I hear you.
So, look, here's the conversation that we have to have with Dak Prescott, because everyone is appalled that he may be in the $30 million range. What you have to look at, the franchise tag, the exclusive level is at $33 million. If he signs it again, it goes up 120%. So we're going to put him at like $36 million. So the conversation has to start at $69 million guaranteed. And then when you talk about his draft mate, Carson Wentz is at $32.5 million, which is why it's like the price is right. You're right. I need $1 more than Carson Wentz at a minimum before I even come in. The problem that people have is, for whatever reason, Dak Prescott is not viewed as a franchise quarterback. But I challenge Cowboy fans. Do you remember Quincy Carter? Do you remember Chad Hutchinson? How about Drew Henson?
Why
How did you like those days?
Fans, Bucky?
Because
Why
that's
not
what the
talk to
issue
other-
is.
That's the issue.
No.
That's the issue.
That
is the
NFL
issue.
owners,
No.
NFL executives,
no.
they're the ones that have to pay that price.
The only team that has to pay is one, and that's Dallas. And so what does Dallas
anybody
view?
else?
It doesn't matter what anybody else will view him as.
Look.
Dallas has to have the quarterback. Dak Prescott is the best thing that they've had.
I'm fine with him playing out his deal this year and getting the exclusive franchise tag the year after. So now you're at 2 years for $36 million. That's a pretty good deal for Dallas, and it gives them 2 years is a lifetime in pro football, and we can see where he is. Now, the downside with that is the market's going to go up substantially. So if he's the quarterback they believe he is, with the upside they believe he has, they're going to pay significantly more.
Yep.
If they're not sure, they should definitely wait. In terms of his representative, starting with Carson Wentz is a very fair number. Dak has a better head-to-head record, a better divisional record. He's won a playoff game. He has better completion percentage. You go right on down the line.
Yep.
And I don't know how many times today I've heard he was in the MVP conversation. So was Derek Carr a couple years ago. Like, how are we using? So he was in a conversation at one point during the season. So therefore, he must, somehow that's that transitive property that his upside is going to be there forever. Like Derek Carr was in that conversation before he got hurt in Oakland a few years ago. But we're not talking about that. So I get where his reps are coming from, but I'm also fine with the team saying, play out this year, we'll franchise you the year after, and we'll take our chances and see where it goes.
I love that plan. For the Dallas, I love that plan in terms of how you can stretch out the money. As you know, there will be a value tax if I prove to be a franchise player. Like the floor is going to be like $40 million 2+ years from now in terms of Dak Prescott being a franchise quarterback. But Bucky is right, because this is the issue. You keep saying the owners are sitting there like, oh, should we pay him or not? But what's in that calculation is perception. If he had the same narrative, because he has better numbers, but we don't care about that. So if he had the same narrative story that a Carson Wentz has, he will already be paid. But there's no eagerness to go to that negotiation table because you know the criticism and backlash is coming. How could you pay Dak Prescott that? And God forbid he goes out there and has an average season. Oh, my God, you get destroyed.
But why do we need that narrative? Brock Osweiler got paid. Jimmy Garoppolo got paid.
Right.
They didn't have anywhere near the body of work. There aren't that many quarterbacks.
How did Jimmy G get paid, Coach?
Well, look,
7-0 as a starter story. The team couldn't win a game. They won all the games. It's all story.
Which I
And Dak
totally
loses
get.
there.
But any owner can believe any story they want to. And you only need one to believe the narrative that you're selling. But there's a lot of guys that get paid way more money than they should because there's a scarcity at the position.
True.
So if you have a viable alternative, then I say, yeah, okay, this makes sense. If you have no viable alternative, it's hard to argue with what Dak's done.
It is hard to argue. And then when we talk about the other guys that you bring in the conversation, he brings in Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo got $27.5 million annually, playing 7 games.
Yeah.
Derek Carr hasn't won significantly. He's in that number. Matthew Stafford. When we stack Dak Prescott against all these guys that are at the high end of the spectrum, Dak Prescott looks okay. And so the money is what the money is. And if the Cowboys were smart, they would have done the deal last year during the season.
I don't want to be accused of being sexist, so I'm going to spin this analogy.
Wow, what are you
thinking
right
I'm
now?
going to spin it a different way. I'm going to make it about the man rather than the woman.
Okay.
And again, it's about your market value. Dak doesn't have the arm. Again, that's what's hurting his market value. Jimmy Garoppolo got paid because he got the arm. It wasn't just the 7 wins. People felt he had the arm and the accuracy. And so it's like me. I can talk about my credit rating, my reliability, and all this, but when a dude shows up that's all yoked up, my market value goes down inside Wally's significantly. And you can go in all the details about, oh my God, you wouldn't believe Whitlock's credit score, and you wouldn't, his word is so good, and my God, he goes to church, and blah, blah, this, that, and the third. And it's like, nah, I want that dude that's yoked up.
Yeah, but
and Dak Prescott is not yoked. He needs...
I know where you're at.
He don't have that arm that makes people go, I'm going to pay a little extra for that. Carson Wentz has it. Jimmy Garoppolo has it or had it. Dak's never had that.
And look, you may not get approached by the best-looking person in the bar.
Yeah.
But you may get approached by the second best-looking woman in the bar, or maybe one of the top 5, which is what we're talking about.
At a price that's reduced.
You may not be the best-looking, but you still may be way better looking than a lot of the dudes in the bar.
Well, you know what? We're having conversations that are the division between, do you want to be liked or do you want to be respected? Like is the easy, simple gratification. You walk in looking great, people going to like you. They ain't going to respect you. And Dak is like, I'm not with the first wave of like me and just take me home. He's like, No, marry me. And you know why you gonna marry me? Because I do have the credit score. Because I do have the numbers. Because my completion percentage is better than Jimmy G's. And you have to look into this. And owners are smart enough to hire people who know this. But what's been lost is Dak can't win the conversation with the public. He just doesn't have the story.
It's owners he can't win it with. It's executives.
It's
they
really,
sign the checks.
It's really the public perception.
the
Because
public perception.
Coach talked about, like, how are we judging quarterbacks? Whenever we talk about Tom Brady being the GOAT, it's because he has 6 rings. So if we talk about winning, you know who has the second most wins behind Tom Brady?
Say it.
Dak Prescott.
Dak.
So what is it? So we don't want to talk about wins, but then we want to talk about the other stuff.
Look at this little
At
magical
some
word
point-
game you just played.
What?
You talked about 6 Super Bowls, and then you reduced it to regular season.
Let's go all the way back, because I think people forget about Tom Brady when Tom Brady entered the league.
Don't do this.
When Tom Brady entered the league with the Patriots were driven by their defense, their running game, and his job was to get the team to the winner's circle.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle of his career, the team became a Tom Brady-driven team. Why can't Dak Prescott be on the same track?
Well, I was there when Tom Brady came in, and he wasn't very good at all. And then the first year, Brad Seeley and I used to have friendly wagers after practice. You know, I had the DBs, he had the other guys, and it was, you know, like $1 a pass. And there were a bunch of times where Tom missed wide open receivers in the post-practice stuff. But what Tom had was traits. He had tremendous intangibles. So that first year he ends up playing, we scored 3 offensive touchdowns in the playoffs, and he only threw 1 of them. Okay, but he had traits, and he continued to develop. So with a guy like Dak Prescott, you're saying this is what he's done for us, but he has those traits, and we're betting that he's going to continue to develop to be the guy that we eventually want him.
All right,
to
I'm going to be called sexist. You know what the Super Bowl is? Now, y'all don't
You had to
know
go
what
there.
the Super Bowl is? Breast implants. That's what they put on Tom Brady. And once that happened, it didn't matter that he wasn't that good. It doesn't matter. And so, again, he had the body that
then-
everybody's out.
But what were the other 5 Super Bowls? Is that like lipo and...
Absolutely.
Took a rib out. He had to take a rib out.
What else did we add
You
to
got
the
a
other
whole
guys?
the whole night. He's got it all now.
Don't do that.
And Dak doesn't have it. He doesn't have a Super Bowl early in his career like Brady does.
We get it.
He doesn't have the arm. Right now, Jerry Jones, dude, you just haven't hit your lottery ticket yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a year or 2 off. We're going to let you go out there and prove it.
But Jerry's smarter than that. I don't know. I want you to know the dynamic is good cop, bad cop, Jerry, Steven. We get that. I also want to make sure we highlight his win percentage and who he's surrounded by. Since he's been in the league. Look at these names. It's Brady. It's Prescott. It's Big Ben, Breeze, and Wilson. All Super Bowl winners. They got implants. Okay, I give you that. But guess what? He's right there in that conversation, and these dudes are making more in a week than he's made in his career.
And I totally
Come
get
on,
it.
man.
There are some indicators there that say he could take a team to a Super Bowl and develop into this intangible leader. There's some indicators there. But in order for somebody to press that button of $30 million, we need some stronger indicators.
But someone pressed the button on Carson Wentz, who's in the same draft class.
He's got the arm.
And when you put him head to head, Dak Prescott is better across the
got
board.
the arm.
He's hurt. He doesn't
How good is an arm when he's not in the game?
It's a vanity league.
You have to be
It's
available.
Oh, yes.
What does that mean? What does a vanity
But it
look
looks
like?
People love potential. Oh, my God, this guy runs a 4.12. Are you kidding me? It doesn't matter he can't catch. He's going to stretch the defense. People get caught. There's certain things that make people lose their mind. Oh, my God, he's got a 48-inch
it makes people lose their
vertical jump.
mind, and it also makes them lose their jobs. Like, it's the same thing. When you're betting on vanity, instead of substance, all that ends up happening is you win a press conference.
Thank you.
And then you go and you sell your house.
game.
The man, you can count his 300-yard games on.
But that's not
I
it. That's not how they play.
What?
That's not how they play.
get it.
That's fantasy football, 300-yard games. They run the ball. He has to make the plays necessary to win. They do that. Look at his fourth-quarter comebacks and game-winning drives. He's at the upper end of that. He makes plays when they need him to make plays. There's something to be said for guys who have great management skills. Great management